Hello, everybody, and welcome to Changemakers, your show for new online business owners looking for inspiration and courage as they begin their entrepreneurial journey. On this show, we have solo episodes where yours truly, Valerie Fisher, will discuss neuro-linguistic programming, sales and marketing, and business tips. Majority of the show will have guests who will share stories of their own journey and whose products and services also hope to serve new online business owners like you, our listeners and viewers. I'm excited for this episode, so let's get the ball rolling. Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Changemakers. And today we have Ati, right? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
She's got so much energy, guys. I'm so happy. I have to try and match her energy. Okay, so first question, I always ask my guests, what change did you want in your life or in this world that inspired you to start your business?
I love it because it's all about impact. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history before we jump on. So I was a bartender for about 20 years, and that's what brought me to the US. I live in Las Vegas. I'm originally from Argentina. So for many years, I was a bartender. I was very, very happy in my job. I was actually a flair bartender. I don't know if you even know what that is. There was a flip battle. So I was brought to the US because I was a world champion.
Oh, wow.
So there were no women at that time really doing flair, and I was huge in my country. Then I came here and I had an amazing career doing that. When I stopped flaring and I just kind of became just a bartender because I stopped competing because I became a mom. Like eventually, you know, like this glamorous thing, I travel everywhere and I was doing the bartending young life, but then when I became a mom, like my priorities shifted. Now, I went to photography school while I was here just because it was a hobby for me. So I was building a side hustle. I knew that at some point I wanted to create something. I just didn't know what it was. So when my son was born, actually when I got pregnant, that fire on my belly started to grow, right? And it started to grow. It took other 8 years until actually I stopped bartending. There is a lot that happened. I opened my business. I closed my business. I had mind game, mindset. We can talk about that in a minute. But the biggest thing for me when I started my business was I wanted to make a ripple effect because I was already 39. I was about to turn 40. And what I saw is a lot of women, especially in that particular industry, servers, bartenders, people in the casinos here, that they were making a lot of money and they were miserable. So what happened was that because they were making so much money, Las Vegas is like an isle in the world where people can make a lot of money with jobs where nowhere else in the world they would be able to live the life they live here. And what I saw is I saw it on myself and I kept seeing women that were like, well, I'm 40. What am I going to do now? And I was like, what do you mean? What are you going to do? Like, go after your dreams, right? And that is the big picture. So for me, it was really encouraging women to go after their dreams and put themselves out there. And we can talk about all the ways that I did that or I do that now. But that is the ripple effect that I want women to know that you can go after your dreams at any time in your life.
Yeah, I so resonate with that because I started, so the first business that I co-founded with two other friends, I was 39 years old. Yeah, I was sorry. Did I freeze? I was 39 years old. And I remember being in this creative boot camp with 20 something years old. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm 39, you know? So there were actually two realizations. One is you can, you know, it's okay regardless of where you are in your life, how old you are. And number two, I feel like the younger you are, the more brave you are to get into this entrepreneurial world?
It's about braveness. I think that is the way we were raised too. Because I think that when we are 39 or 40, we're like, I'm already here, I'm making good money. Why can't I just be happy with what I have? I remember having those thoughts. Why can't just I be happy with what I have? And the reality is not that I wasn't happy. I was very happy. I just wanted more.
Yes.
And that's okay. But I was not giving myself the permission for that.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. So how did you start your business then, when when, like you said, things were starting to brew in your heart, in your gut, in your head? How
So
did you
in
actually start?
2011, when I got pregnant with my son, that was my first try at entrepreneurship. I actually went all in. I jumped 2 feet on because I stopped bartending because I was pregnant, and I used to work, in a club with the noise, and I was not gonna go work pregnant. So I have a few rentals, and I took a rental and I turned it into a studio. And at the time, I went into portraiture, and I was a portrait photographer for about 10 years. However, in that time, I went full time. Then my son was born, and then it just, my mindset was not in the right place. Like now I can look back, and I was entrepreneurial, but also we're talking, this was 2011, 10 years ago. There was not as much coaching. There was not a lot of knowledge, and people were not as giving and abundant as they are now. Like, so I honestly didn't find a mentor. I couldn't really find, and I wasn't in the right mindset either. I thought that other people were my competition, and people didn't want to talk about it. And at the time, or for a while, I was kind of embarrassed of even saying that. But now I know that we need to talk about those things, because people feel that when they first starting, and it's okay because we don't know better, right?
Yeah.
So I started my business. I went into portraiture photography, and I niched down to newborns. And I did newborns for about 10 years. However, I went back to bartending 2 years after that, because the money wasn't there. The money that I thought I wanted to make wasn't there, right? And again, for the people listening to this, if they're in the Philippines, it might be really hard to connect with this. But a bartender here in Las Vegas has a CEO income.
Wow.
Yes. So it's kind of like, just to give you a little bit, like, you can cut this if
put things into context.
I was making anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a night.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So for me to run my business, be a new mom, my husband also is a bartender here in Las Vegas, so he had that kind of income, and me trying to like get out of that industry, it was very, the mindset was just not there. I was like, I'm just gonna go bartend, and I'm gonna build my business on the side. So for 10 years, I kept photographing. I kept building a name for myself. People knew I was a photographer, but I was just photographing on the side. But there was a moment in my life, and this was around 2017, where how they say the pain has to be bigger, that the pain of staying the same has to be bigger than the desire, to change.
Yes.
And the pain of staying there, like, I wanted to be home. I wanted to get up early in the morning. I really wanted to also get healthy, which that was a job that was really hard to do that with. And I wanted to be home. And my desire for making an impact started to show.
Okay. You kind of froze
my
there.
mindset changed.
Yeah, you froze there. Well, you froze there. So can you repeat when you said your desire started to shift?
My desire started to shift. So my desire for change was stronger than the pain from staying there. So we can paraphrase that any way we want, right? Like, the pain of remaining the same was greater than the comfort of the money or staying there. Like, I was not enjoying it. I was literally counting down to the minute. I never wanted to go to work. I became a bad employee because I was in the same job for 16 years. Because it's the job that they brought me from Argentina to work at.
Yes.
Like, I got a visa and everything.
Yeah.
So the pain became so great. And the pain was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Right. And I started getting into personal development. I started reading books. And I remember for a long time, I was already investing in real estate. So I was very familiar with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in 2017, I got involved with network marketing. And what happened was, even though I'm no longer pursuing network marketing, it opened my mind. So I always tell people, like, when they have like a bad fire around network marketing, it's like everybody should join one just for learning business. Because when you like it taught me so much. It made my skin thick to talk to people. It really made me understand what business was all about, which I was not doing that when I had my studio the first time. I thought I would have a website, I would open studio, and people would come.
We need to market ourselves.
Exactly. So when I got into network marketing, so I was already a photographer. So one thing that happened was, because I would photograph people for my team and people for other teams locally, I started doing personal branding photography.
Oh, I love this transition.
So when people are like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I was a photographer for already 10 years. And what happened was that my passion for photography went to the roof, because I think that even though I was very passionate about photography before, I didn't see myself doing portraits forever. There was something that, I thought that it was important for people to have memories, and I still love creating memories. I do portraiture for a lot of my clients. But when I got into personal branding photography, I saw something else. I saw the possibility of encouraging women to promote themselves. I saw that when women were getting photographed for their business, they were showing up better in their businesses. And what happened was, people started asking, right? Like, okay, I have the photos, but I don't know what to do. How do I post on Facebook? How do I post on social media? So one thing took the other, and I was literally teaching my clients, and I was teaching for free. I didn't even occur to me
that you can
coach. No, it was part of my value proposition, of my unique value proposition. When I would get on the phone with people offering personal branding photography, I'm like, hey, we do a strategy session. And those strategy sessions ended up being from 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 3 hours, because these people didn't know anything. So last year, when the pandemic happened, I started a Facebook group because I didn't have any clients. My clients.
Tell us about that. Tell us about what happened during the pandemic. You said
so March 2020.
Yeah,
I go for a full book schedule, photography, to 0. And then I'm like, okay, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I'm already really good at social media. Like, I was already promoting myself on Facebook and Instagram. I was barely using LinkedIn at the time, but I was already going. And I was like, okay, everybody's starting Facebook groups. I'm going to start a Facebook group. And in there, at the time, I was teaching photography tips and tricks. So I did a few paid workshops where I was teaching people from my office, showing them how to take photos in their home, at the park, how to take pictures of them working, right? I had iPod and stuff.
You
did work.
Sorry, you froze. Yeah, you were photographing, so you were teaching them how to photograph themselves working.
Yeah. So then one thing took the other, and they're like, hey, can you do a workshop on Instagram? can you do a workshop on how to grow your personal brand? And at the time, I joined a group program, a coaching program, because I saw the opportunity, but I had a lot of self-doubt. Because when I started doing market research and looking at other personal branding photographers, personal branding coaches, a lot of these people came from the marketing world. A lot of these people came from schooling. And my knowledge came from the school of hard knocks, right? I was learning what was working for my clients, what wasn't working, like what was happening when somebody just was spamming, right? As opposed to somebody that was telling their story and was showing up consistently, and they were like very clear on their offer and very clear. So I was looking at my clients and I was looking at what I was doing, and I started reading, and I became obsessed with the personal branding concept, especially because I also saw a lot of the people that I was doing network marketing with in the past, how they build their personal brand, and now they were branching off to doing other things. And what really, really sparked me was that I knew that all along my calling was to coach others. And I just didn't know it. Right? And this is an exercise that I teach people, like go into your life and really start writing kind of like your autobiography. And from high school, right? From high school, maybe you run track, and maybe you were the captain of your team, and then you're going to start seeing these repetitions in your life. And then you realize that you have a gift that maybe you're overlooking.
Yes, I have to, I'm in my head while you were telling your story. And this is actually what happens when people tell stories. We mirror it. We have neural coupling, because what I do is actually a combination also of my experiences in the past. So I'm a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. So that's one. I have marketing experience, and I also have an e-commerce site. So when I put them all together, I designed my own system or method, which I call brain science selling. So stories is a huge part of brain science selling, because it really activates parts in our brain that lets us create that bond and that trust with each other. So while you were sharing your story, and whoever is listening and watching this today, this is the power of a good story. Your audience puts themselves in that exact same position. So when you were saying back in 2017, you're questioning yourself, with all of your income, like what you said, CEO income, you were still, you were happy, but you were looking for more. And that's also what happened to me, because I was just promoted, I was earning a lot of money, I was traveling because the work required that, but there was something that was missing. And at around that time, I read, I read it, and then I did the Gallup Strengths Finder, and in it said, my ideal job was a coach or a mentor. And I'm like, what? I'm in marketing. I have what does mentoring have to do with marketing? So I actually ignored that. But you're right. You are absolutely correct. It has been there. So when I realized that, I'm like, oh, when I was 12 years old, my first ever job was actually as a tutor. So when you said, do your life story, and then you will realize it has been there all along.
You know what? It's funny. When I lived in Argentina, I owned my first bartending school with 3 friends. And that is how we got very known around the country, because we literally created these t-shirts and these things that had like all colors. And the 4 of us would go and present ourselves like as a team. And we made this.
Oop. I lost you.
I mean, we all had like a lower college education, but none of us were going to university. None of us, like, we were like working on the street, and we would go every single day to visit 2 or 3 restaurants or 2 or 3 bars to invite people to our courses. And I was already teaching bartending, and I came up with the whole concept of having the same t-shirts and the
That's
business
already
card.
personal. That's already branding. And that's already teaching.
And when I look back, I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Because in Argentina, you can bartend when you're 18. So I started at 18. I left my country when I was 21. I went to live in Spain. Then I came to the US with my visa and also and everything. But when I look back on my story, that is what makes me who I am. I have a vision for that. I understand unity of message, all that, without like having that schooling that a lot of people have. And for the longest time, that was kind of like, for me, imposter syndrome, because I was like, I'm not coming, I'm not a brand strategist that went to college or worked on corporate. And then I started talking to some of the gurus, and they're like, oh, I didn't go to college either. I was like,
You lived it. You lived it your life. I mean, you lived personal branding. You lived coaching all throughout your life. You
yes.
don't have to go to college for that.
So when I got on the coaching program that I'm part of right now, I had to do a lot of mindset work. A lot of mindset work, a lot. But when I did, and when I started and I launched myself, I know there is no way back.
I'm curious. So you've come a long way, from when you were 18, you did, and I feel like, and this is a pattern, okay, a brains-like pattern. This is a pattern that appears in many of the people I talk to. What they did in the past, plus the what they did in high school, college, first job, whatever, and then they all come together to come up with who you are and what you do right now, and then it just all falls beautifully together.
Yes,
Yes. So what
go
is
ahead.
the biggest learning so far with that? What has been the biggest realization with this experience?
For me, there is 2. Because I cannot even like pick, because I've been thinking about this a lot. One is progress. As long as you're doing progress, as long as you're taking the steps, you're in the right direction. So I think that a lot of the times, especially when I look back at my story, my first entrepreneurial, after so many years of bartending, opening the studio, I was in a place where at the time I thought I wasn't successful. But when I look at what new entrepreneurs make in money, oh, I was definitely successful. But I was right, like, but I wasn't successful because I didn't pursue it. I didn't stay with it. I didn't tweak. I didn't really sit down and had a plan. Everything was done like, okay, let's do that. And so when I find myself in that space now, I'm like, let's take a step back, just take a step forward, right? And I think that with social media, people have this feeling that they constantly, and of course, I'm a personal branding coach. I'm not going to tell people not to show up, but sometimes you just need to step back in order to have clarity on where you're going.
Yes, I did that in January. I had to step back, and I asked because I have a mentor and a coach. I said, I was being asked to do this, being asked to do that. I was being I was asked by one person if I would like to teach in a university. And I'm like, a professor, a college professor? Is that part of my plan? But, so I had to like really go deep into myself and try to understand, where do I want to go? What do I really want? So so I absolutely agree.
Because progress was one. So clarity and progress, like, really, I think, right, progress and I
clarity and progress,
clarity
and vision.
Clarity, progress, and vision.
Okay.
Because people, there is a famous quote that is like, you're so worried about the tree that you're not seeing the jungle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happens is people cannot get forward. So that is the biggest lesson, because I'm a very anxious person naturally. So for me, it's you need to slow down. I tend to go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the second one, which is, I don't know if you are into manifestation or whatever, and I'm not, I am, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you have to take the action, right?
Yes.
There is no one or the other. But if you are not happy with where you're at, which that was me, you have to be happy and then move from that space and focus on where you want to go, instead of like, oh. So we all at some point, no matter how much mindset work you do, how much internal work or personal growth or whatever, at some point you're gonna have doubt, you're gonna have fear, you're gonna need to take that stop.
Yeah.
Our biggest work is to be happy with where we are at, but never be satisfied.
Mm-hmm. There's always something more.
There is always a next level.
A next level. Oh my gosh, we got so much from you. I feel like there's not enough time.
And isn't it crazy? Because what happens in these conversations is we tell all these stories about our life, right? And what I tell my clients all the time is, you don't need to be talking about your business to make an impression and to have a ripple effect in the world.
Yes.
And I think it's such a hard concept to come around.
Yes. The way, like what you said, your personal brand reflects so much on your business. So when you talk about personal things, when you talk about yourself, the ripple effect is you talk about your business, right? And you talk about the impact that your business has on other people.
For me, one of the biggest learning experience, I think, of 2020, 2021, going into all of these, was that there is so many people trying to create a personal brand that is created, right? Like if you have a product, anything, like I have this little thing here, you can brand this and you're going to invent the story, you're going to create it. But when it's you already have a personal brand. You know it or not. Then we can take the steps to really take what we love, what we stand for, our core values, or stories, or vision, or mission, and really write them down and funnel that into our business. But the biggest problem is that we are so bombarded with social media and everything. And mind you, I teach my clients to use social media, but in a way that they take it personal and they're constantly comparing.
Yes.
So if there is one thing that I always tell people, like if I can leave you with any teaching.
Yes, please.
Lean into who you are and lead with authenticity. Because that's not only going to make you money, it will make you money. I promise you, it will make you money, but it will take you on a path of self-actualization, of self-growth. Because while you're writing down about your core values, your vision not only for your business, but for your life. If you don't have a vision, it's like telling your map in your phone, hey, Google, take me somewhere. It won't take you anywhere. You're going to be rerouting. It's life. That is an analogy for life. So if you are authentic and you can take the hard work that takes to be authentic, it takes work. Being authentic takes work. And put it into your personal brand to grow your business, you are standing on a gold mine.
That's powerful. Thank you. So, I think that's the best way to end this conversation today. You have given us so much. You have given us a lot of value. As like what you said, we didn't even really talk about your business, but I know so much about you, and the listeners and the viewers of today's show will definitely, will be like, who is Ati? What is she all about? She has so much energy, and I'm sure that it will, again, have a ripple effect. Ati, where can we find you for all of our viewers and our listeners today who want to know more about you?
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is Ati.Greenspan.com. So it's my name, my last name, Atigrins as Paul, UN.com. Or you can find me on Instagram at Ati.G.branding.
Yes.
I'm also in LinkedIn, and I'm also on Facebook, and you can find me under my name. And my Facebook group is called the BU Brand Tribe. And this will air September.
Yes, around the time, correct. Middle of August.
So if it airs somewhere in the middle of August, I will be offering a personal branding clarity masterclass that will start August 23rd. So if it finds like that it's the right timing, great. Yes.
I will schedule it.
This is all for women entrepreneurs who really want to get clear on their message. They want to stop like spinning the wheels of what to say, what to do, and really clarify their message, their offer, how they show up in social media authentically. Authentically. And stop looking at what other people are doing, start looking inwards, and go forward in their business.
I have one person perfect for this course, so I'm gonna tell her about this.
Yeah, and the masterclass is free. That masterclass is free. It's a 5-day masterclass. Yes, so they can reach out to me. I'll send them a link to register. This is a 5-day masterclass. It happens on my Facebook group, and they can.
I will include the link to the registration in the show notes. So don't worry, everybody. I will include the registration. I will make sure that this airs before August 23 so that we can all benefit from Ati's masterclass. Thank you very much, Ati. Thank you so much for
Valerie. It was amazing. You say I have energy, but you radiate like this, like beautiful aura. I love it.
Thank you so much. So for all of you viewers and listeners for today, thank you again very much for watching and listening. Change makers. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you.